So good evening, everyone. You're very welcome to UCC's live webinar, CK101, Bachelor of Arts Career Pathways. My name is John Philip O'Connor. I'm the Recruitment Project Officer for the College of Arts, Celtic Studies and Social Science here in UCC. Our first speaker tonight is Dr. David Fitzgerald, who is a Programme Director for the Bachelor of Arts. David will give an overview of the course and explain how students can design their own degree according to the subjects they choose to specialise in. Our second speaker is Elaine Brown of UCC Career Service. Elaine's presentation will look at the career pathways from the Bachelor of Arts, specifically focusing on the diverse global careers of arts alumni. Our final speaker is Nancy May Hartnett, who graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in 2018. Nancy is currently the Senior Manager and Head of Affiliate Marketing with HubSpot. Nancy will explain her reasons for choosing the BA. She will also explain how it has provided the foundation for her successful career with her current employer. The webinar will then conclude with a short Q&A session where we will answer any queries you may have about the Bachelor of Arts degree. So just to let you know that tonight's webinar will be recorded and put on our YouTube channel in the coming days. So without further ado, I will hand you over to Dr. David Fitzgerald.
Thanks, JP, and bear with me for 1 second while I share my screen. You can see that, right? Excellent, great. First of all, look, thanks everyone for joining us on what is actually a beautiful sunny evening here in Cork. I'm sure in the rest of the country it is too. And for those of you who aren't joining us from Ireland, you know that that's a rare occasion. You might not know that's a very rare occasion. So we appreciate everyone taking the time. And look, I'm going to give you kind of a whistle-stop tour of the program. As JP said, I'm program director amongst my other roles. So what I'll do is I'll give you an oversight of the program itself and talk you through some of the practicalities. So this is, I suppose, part of the the offerings we have within the College of Arts. College of Arts, Celtic Studies, Social Science. You see, we are the largest college in the university. We've been around for quite a long time. We've over 6,000 students, over 500 staff. We run about, actually, it's now up to 20 degree programs at undergraduate level, and we go all the way up to PhD as well. We've several hundred PhD students. But I suppose to say what we are, I suppose, is we are kind of primarily interested in, the humanities and social sciences is what we do, right? And just define those terms first before we get into the details of the program. The humanities and social sciences basically are those subjects that really are interested in humans, right? That's what we're really interested in exploring humans, just their stories, their histories, their behaviors, their societies. And that really is to do with, subjects you may know from school, like history and English, and then subjects you might not know, like sociology and philosophy, and even folklore. But all those subjects all together, what they do is they look at the kind of human condition, right? And we really are interested in really, really big and important questions. The slide here, which is, I won't take credit for it, you can see here that the T-Rex joke, right, about like why one would not want to clone a T-Rex. And we actually are interested in those bigger questions, and those are really important to us. And at the heart of all of that is our Bachelor of Arts degree, CK101. I'm doing a bit of work on the degree at the moment, and I'm trying to find out when it started. And I know we started teaching the humanities subjects, the arts subjects in the university in the 1850s. It's been around for a long time. And I can't even find anyone who can tell me how long the current structure has been in place. So we've been around for a long time. If you even look at the CEO code, it's 101, right? The first. So it's quite a venerable degree. It's been around a very long time, and it's the largest degree in the university and it's quite successful. It's our flagship program. And it is 3 years is the typical length of the program. I should say we also have a BA International, which is a separate sort of CEO entry. It allows you to do a year abroad, and we do allow students to transfer from one to the other. It's a level 8 program. At the moment, the points are about 300 at the lower end. The higher end, we get students at the very high 500s. And just I'll talk to you what it involves in the first instance. So what it works out as in first year, it's not like a degree in microbiology where you come in and you're doing a certain set curriculum. You choose 4 subjects in first year, and I'll show you those subjects in a second. And you decide which you're going to do these 4 subjects. You're sampling them, and you're deciding which ones you're interested in, which ones you are unexpectedly interested in, which ones you didn't like as much as you thought you did. And then within the first few weeks of term, you also change a minor option. So let's say you're going to First Arts in UCC with several hundred new students, and your friends are going to the lectures in study religions, and they're saying you really should check this out. And you said, well, I didn't pick it when I started. But you actually can change your mind. So we actually do offer a huge amount of choice. We actually sit in as many subjects as you want. And it's really a question of like, the slide says that you design your own degree. You're able to sort of speak to your own interests, your own strengths is what I would say, not just interests, but strengths are really important to play to those. And because we let you sample a lot of different subjects in first year, you really get to figure out what those strengths are. And then in second year, then what happens is at that point, you then narrow that down to two. So you drop two of your first year subjects, you carry on to, and there's basically three ways in which you can do that. There's joint honours, which is our most popular, which is you do, let's say, English and history 50-50 split, or you might do major honours, which is sort of a 40-20 split, or then you can do single honours where you really want to concentrate on one subject, you do 50 credits of that and 10 credits of another subject. So we really do allow people to specialise in what they're good at. And that really then, I think, pays off in terms of like what we see in terms of the outcomes our students have later on in life. And I know Elaine can speak to that later on. That's the basic structure. I suppose one of the big strengths of it really is that we don't sort of insist that at the age of 17 or 18 you pick your pathway in life. What we do is we bring into the university environment. We sort of let you or encourage you to enjoy your study. You study things you're good at, study things that you're and I should say enjoy subjects you enjoy and subjects you're good at are often very related, right? Because I can talk about this later on. When you are doing the work on your degree, you're going to spend a lot of time in the library. You're going to be reading things, you're going to be working on assignments, and it really does help if you enjoy it. Like it really makes life much easier when you're writing an essay at, I won't say what hour in the morning you'll be writing the essay at, but it does help. So what we do is, what we've prided us in the program is students study what they enjoy, and at the same time they do work on their career, and we'll talk about that in a second. And you kind of then, it's a design a degree pathway that suits you, and as time goes on, you'll engage people like Elaine in careers and decide, look, I'm really interested in this particular career pathway, and we can then advise you, listen, you should really pick these options, and we have those conversations with students all the time. Um, so I would say as well, a lot of our students, I would say the vast majority of our students also go on to postgraduate study. So what you see is people go on, they'll do a degree in an arts subject, and then what they'll do is they'll do a 1 year or 2 year master's afterwards. And it really, what that does, it allows them to get into the workforce with two degrees quite quickly, right? So you get your 3 year bachelor's degree, and then you go on and you do your degree in whatever else it is, your 1 year degree. And it's not just in our college. We have a huge amount of our students, I think, go off onto the business school, and we wish them well. They do management and marketing. They do business and financial information systems, a huge variety of things, and as well as our own degree programs. So you see, and I'll show this in a minute, and Elaine will talk to much more detail, a huge variety of career pathways, and it's because I think we sort of have this finishing school at the postgraduate level, which serves our students really well. Okay, just back to practicalities. So these are the subjects we offer in UCC. I've checked this. We do offer the most of any university in Ireland. I think we beat UCD by one subject, so we need to keep that up for next year and not drop any. Um, we offer about 29 subjects. You can see here the way they're grouped, and I won't read them all out. The reason they're grouped like this is a practical thing you need to be aware of. You can select one from each group. So you select a total of four, but let's say, for instance, you can take computer science and Asian studies, you can take archaeology and Chinese studies together, but within those groups, you have a huge amount of choice. And those groups exist basically for timetable reasons. It's a very, very complex degree. So you are sort of a little bit constrained in terms of your choice, but you can still see there's a huge variety of choice here, covering from the languages to history to theory to text. It's a really, really, really rich degree. And so those are the subject groups in first year. And instead, from there, then you narrow that down to second and third year onwards to sort of specialize. But this is your starting point in your first arts experience, what the range of choice you have. And as you can see, it's really, really broad. Um, I suppose what I would also focus on though is I won't again read these out. Thinking about and I've been doing a lot of work on the degree recently and thinking about well what do graduates come away with? What distinguishes the arts degree from other degrees? I mean our university, I think, and most Irish universities have a really really broad and exciting range of degrees. But for us, I think what we do is a couple of things I just want to point out. I suppose that things that I think we do really well. One, I suppose, is that the skills I hear up here in the screen, I would argue our skills with a very long shelf life. The things we pride ourselves on, like everyone says they do, we really, really care about writing. We really care about communication, verbally and written. We really care about the rigor of your analysis. Are you capable of, reading piles of material, synthesizing it, and creating original research with it? Are you capable of going to the archive? Are you capable of interviewing people? Are you capable of doing research? And everyone talks about critical thinking as a buzzword, but we really do mean that. And I suppose the advantage of this sort of degree is it equips you with these skills, and they won't expire in 5 years. It's not like learning, and I mean, my colleagues in computer science do great work, but it's not like you're going to learn certain code like Python and then realize actually AI does the Python now. These are sort of skill sets that I think will last with you a very, very long time. And I was talking to a colleague recently who said, like, what he really hopes for graduates to be able to do is to solve the problems that don't exist yet, right? That there are problems that are coming down the tracks. We're facing them right now in the world, as you be aware, that no one imagined when you were in college. But with this sort of the skill set we give you and the mindset we give you, I think, I hope at least we do a really good job of equipping people with these skills that do last, genuinely do last a lifetime. And the last thing I'll say, what I'll do then is just I'll do whistle up to our careers, but won't even speak to it, and Elaine can jump in then because I'm watching the clock. I was doing this sort of meeting with colleagues in economics recently, and economics is really interesting because they are a social science, but they also work across the entire university. Right? They interact with medicine, sciences, business school, all of that. And one of them said to me what he really appreciated about the arts degree was, and it surprised me. He said, "Look, what he really appreciated was the ability the students had to look at a subject through, or look at a problem through multiple lens, right? Different ways of seeing." And I didn't really understand what he meant. He said, "Look, you all these things in common, right? That things are up on the screen right now, but the various skills about synthesizing knowledge and writing and communication." He said, "But look, the important thing is a historian will look at a problem differently to a sociologist. I'm a historian. I am obsessed with archives and I'm obsessed with the granular details. Sociologists think about social connections. So we look at the same problems, see things differently." And he said, "Look, the graduates of an arts degree have that unique ability to sort of change their lens and to look at issues from different angles." And he said he found that really, really refreshing when dealing with those students. So I think that is one thing I think, we can emphasize the sort of flexibility, but I do really think we have a deep set of values and competencies and skills that we really spend a lot of time imparting our students. I won't spend a lot of time in careers. I will just say it's huge. There's a huge breadth. What I will do is I literally flick through some people, and I will sort of hand over to Elaine on this. And you can see here our graduates go on journalism, they go on into sciences, they go on into finance, they go on into editing global magazines, they go on into publishing, they are editing the Irish Times. They are commissioning editors of Guild Books. They are doing retail content moderation. They are diplomats again. They are working for UNESCO, and they are archaeologists working for the state, uncovering cool things underwater. But look, I'll stop at this point because Elaine is much more capable than I am in speaking these issues. So Elaine, I'm just going to shut up and hand over to you. But you might let me know, do you want me to drop the slides or...
Thanks very much, David. Yes, I might just pull up some of my own slides there. So thank you very much. So hopefully now I'll be able to share this now. Can you see the screen? You can see the screen? You can see Thank you so much. Thank you so much to David. And as David said, my name is Elaine Brown. I'm one of the career consultants here in UCC. I'm also, as well as being a generalist where I work with all students at all levels from first year to PhD, I'm also a specialist career consultant with the College of Arts. So I do a lot of work on a one-to-one in class with art students in terms of developing their career. So I'm hoping this talk will be some way helpful to you. It's going to, I suppose, hopefully complement, and it might even, reiterate some of the things that David has said. So I suppose what we're trying to do again in terms of enhancing the employability of art students is a couple of things through the career services and working with our colleagues in the College of Arts. Is that, as I said, myself and my colleague Mary McCarthy, we're two specialist career consultants for the College of Arts. We are also then running, if you come into the CK 101, you will then meet me in first year. Or meet Mary in first year, where we do career planning and career management talks from first year. And that the reason being is that we, in final year it's too late. We really need to meet you in first year to be able to help you use your college time and to maximise your opportunities for your employment from first year. So you'd meet us in first year. We're also increasing the number of careers education talks. I do careers education talks right across different disciplines. So again, depending on your subject areas, you may well meet me or my colleague Mary. You can meet with me on a one-to-one for your own subject choice, or again, summer internships, anything that you're looking for that's going to progress your career. We have a lot of digital tools through the career services for CVs and interviews and all of that. And then, of course, we also run employee agility awards for voluntary work, where you're given credit for voluntary work and community-based work, which is, you know, sought after by employers. And also we have the PX 2001 professional work experience that you can engage with during your degree as well, and you get additional credit for that. So there's lots of opportunities to enhance your employability. And I suppose one of the things the Career Service has been involved in for the last couple of years, again with their colleagues in CACS, was the running of the UCC Humanities and Social Science Careers Week. And the main aim of that week was to, I suppose, bring alumni in working across, you know, very diverse areas. So in 2024, we ran this. It was over a week. It was a showcasing across a week where we had 20 plus alumni coming in from across about 12 different sectors. So in each of those sectors, there was 3 different alumni. So we had people working in public administration, NGOs, social services, HR, human resources, marketing, IT, across multiple different careers and languages in Ireland and the EU. We had people in higher education, in lecturing, research. We had careers in people coming in from journalism, publishing, the media. We also had clinical therapies, psychology. Clinical therapies will be speech and language therapy, occupational therapy, and then psychology, social work. And then also we also had psychologists and primary and secondary teaching. So so what we learned from that event was that it was ran for over about 5 years, is that we got a lot of information about the career outcomes with arts. So alumni offered insights into the diverse careers that were possible in Ireland and in the UK and further afield. Alumni provided insights into the steps needed to enter into those different careers and into those sectors. They also highlighted the importance of maximizing your time in college to develop specific career skills and experiences for entry into those careers. And also alumni shared the career progression within those industries as well. From, I suppose, additional learnings that we got is that from the alumni's feedback, but also from the employer's feedback, is that you will need to get a good degree. You will need to get at least a minimum 2-1 with your degree. So again, as David said, you would want to be studying subjects that you love, and you'd want to be engaging in career planning from first year. And the majority, over 70% of students in UCC, but across all the colleges, will go on and do further study or additional training on top of their degree. So whether that's legal accounting training or conversion programs, which are usually 1 to 2 years. So effectively, I suppose, you know, your degree would be 3 years, your master's would be 1 and 2. So either within 4 or 5 years, you would be ready for professional life. And it's important that the arts, it's not just the arts students that will go on to do further study. You know, our commerce student, you know, after doing 4 years of business, if they wanted to move into HR, they would do a master's in HR for entry to that particular career and to get chartered membership with the CIPD. So it's 70%, roughly about 70% of all students across all disciplines will go on and do further study, a master's at some point in their career. So what are conversion programs? They're usually 1 year to 2 years, either HTIP or a master's, that enables a graduate to acquire knowledge and skills in a specific area. They typically last, as I said, 1 year or 2 years, and they're vocational in nature. The highest concentration for art students would be into all different areas of business, whether that's accounting or whether that's business studies or HR, into law, into arts and humanities, for example, publishing. They go into all areas of IT, medicine, clinical therapies, as I said, and you're then offering a very, very, your two distinct skill sets you're now offering to an employer. You have your undergraduate degree in arts, and you have your master's in a specialist area as well. And it's a stepping stone then into your specialized chosen career. So I'm going to just share a couple of alumni here. And I just want to show you the trajectory of their background. So for example, Claire did a BA in English initially. She then did a professional diploma in PR and social media. That took her 1 year. And then she did a master's in journalism, which was 1 year. So she's currently senior client manager in communication strategy with Drury. Andrew Brosnan did history and geography, which was 3 years. He then did a master's in information systems for business performance. And he then took up an EY graduate program and is now a senior IT consultant with Deloitte. And then Kate Kelly did a BA History and Politics. She did that for 3 years. She did the LLB, which was a 2-year conversion program, and then she went on to King's Inn and did the barrister at law qualifications. So she's now qualified barrister. And then Niamh did her BA International with Politics and Asian Studies, 4 years, and she did the MSc in International Public Policy and Diplomacy, and now she's a political assistant with the Council of Europe. And James O'Leary did a BA in Economics and History. He did a 1-year conversion program into Business Information Systems for Business Performance, and he took up an IT graduate program at Bank of Ireland. And then Kim Healy did music in Irish, which is very interesting. And then she went into to take up a master's in management consulting, and then she entered in as an associate and is now a senior consultant in financial services in Deloitte. And she doesn't come from an accounting background. And so finally, Laura then did BA English, and she did a master's in literature and publishing in Galway, and she's currently a key account manager with Bloomsbury Publishing. So I suppose what I'm trying to show you is that the arts degree is very much a very, while you're doing your level 8 honours degree, and as David said, you're moving the degree, you're crafting the degree based on what you're interested in. If you get good results, you use your summertime proactively to test the different careers. You can then progress in that area into a master's following on from your degree. For example, if you wanted to, we'll say you did Irish and you wanted to progress with the Irish, you did a master's in Irish. Of course, that would, you would do very well with a background in Irish, we'll say in the public sector in Ireland. But you could then also convert that degree over to a new area, whether that's publishing or management consulting, or whether it's business, or whether it's occupational therapy, speech and language. So the list is endless. So I suppose, as David was saying, often for students, they're concerned about jumping into a specialised degree. We would say speech and language therapy is a specialised degree. They might say, I'm not sure. And so they really would like the option of being able to have, I suppose, a degree where they're studying subjects that they really like, but that would also open the door for them to convert into, for example, speech and language if they wanted to do that later on in a 2-year master's. So then our focus as career consultants is to really support, I suppose, as David was saying, to work with your strengths, your interests, your abilities, to harness those, to make sure that you're using your time in college in the summers to test the different careers, and we can support you in that, and to maximise, I suppose, the opportunities you can get during college, and then to be able to come into your final year with a good understanding of where you want to focus. Because now, once you do a master's and knit a master's onto the degree, you then are specialising. You're effectively telling employers you're specialising at that point. So hopefully that has been helpful, and of course I'm available to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Now let me introduce our final speaker, Nancy May Hartnett. She will speak about her journey from the BA in Arts to her current role with HubSpot. Over to you, Nancy.
Hey everyone. Thank you for having me here today. Hopefully everyone can see my screen here. Just a quick overview as to who I am. So I am Nancy and I head up affiliate marketing at HubSpot. I have obviously taken my time to get where I am, but I am very, very happy with my journey so far, and no doubt I have a lot more to go. To give you some background, in 2015, I joined UCC in the BA Arts. I, like many students, came out of school not knowing what I wanted to do with my life, not knowing what career path I wanted to go down, and certainly not knowing anything about, business or affiliate marketing or anything that I'm doing today. Shortly after joining the BA, I looked into the different subjects that were on offer, and I went down the path of economics and computer science, doing that single degree. My other 2 subjects at the time were psychology and geography. However, I knew myself that teaching was not for me, and I wanted to kind of dive more into a practical side of the degree. During my degree, I loved everything about it. I loved the critical side of things. I loved the critical thinking. I loved the thought processes. I loved the numbers side of the economics. And prior to college, I never touched on economics, and I had never done anything beyond, messing on a laptop to jump into computer science. In 2017, I was still in the middle of my BA, and I got a job out of a joke. is what it is. But essentially, I started a marketing agency out of it, and I started delving into the world of marketing. Within my marketing agency, we used behavioral economics in order to identify and to draw more individuals into different businesses. And that ended up turning into an affiliate and an referral marketing agency, and it became very, very successful over time. Shortly after finishing in 2018, I knew that I wanted to kind of finish the lap that I'd started, and I wanted to kind of complete the courses. So I ended up going into the MSc in Management and Marketing at UCC. The reason that I chose this subject was, one, I could come into it from arts and I could come into it with any background. And two, I knew that there was a placement involved in the actual course. So that was very, very important to me. I'm a very practical person. I wanted to be able to put the theory into practice and make sure that, you know, whoever I was talking to knew that that I was able to do the job that I set out to do, I suppose. As part of that master's, I joined teamwork.com in 2019, which is a Cork-based company. They're a tech company based. I joined it and I worked my way up.
I think we've lost Nancy for the moment. Nancy, can you hear me? Okay.
Sorry,
yeah, you're
folks,
back.
my internet is
Great.
dropping.
No problem. Thanks very much.
I'll continue without the slides, but basically, I don't know where I left off, but the MSc is where I joined teamwork.com. I joined teamwork.com as an intern, and I worked my way up, finding different niches that I could possibly get into across the company, including referral and affiliate marketing. I ended up building out their programs there and making an impact on the business, which resulted in quite a bit. Shortly after that, I ended up going to HubSpot, which is where I am today. I'm at HubSpot since 2020. I joined to look after all one-to-one partnerships on the affiliate program. And about 6 months into that stretch, I ended up taking over as head of affiliate marketing. And that is where I am today. I lead a team of 14 people, and I am part of a wider acquisition organization that impacts the business across our customer base. So that is pretty much my background. I'm happy to take any questions, and if anyone wants to reach out to me, you can find me on LinkedIn.
That's great, Nancy. Thank you so much for that. We now come to the Q&A part of tonight's webinar. If you have any questions you would like to ask any of our speakers, then please use the Q&A function at the top of the screen. Okay. Just wait. Okay. We've one coming in. What does a typical week look like for an arts student? I think, David, would you like to take that?
I'll take that one, JP. Thanks.
Okay, no problem.
So, let me focus on first year. I think your typical week would be in terms of lectures, right? So you take sort of a roughly 6 classes per term. You're looking at about 2 hours a week of lectures per class. So that is about 12 hours a week in the lecture theatre. But what I would say is it does depend a little bit. So you'll also be doing tutorials on top of this. So the lectures, you could be in one of our very large lecture theatres with 400 other students. But you'll also be doing tutorials and small group teaching. That would add another 4 or 5 hours depending on the subject. So you're kind of in a small group and you're discussing text. Or if you're doing a language in particular, you'll be in language labs and you'll be doing a lot of kind of one-to-one small group work there as well. What I would say is if you're coming out of, let's say, the Irish Leaving Cert system, and you're used to being in school, wherever, I forget what time you started. Those days are long behind me, and my son's too young for me to know what it is. But this is different where your content hours are lower than in school, but the difference I suppose is, and maybe Nancy can back me up on this, you're spending your time in the library. Your content hours are lighter, our colleagues in science will be in the lab. For us, a lot of us really, not all of us, most of us, our lab is the library, and that's where you'll be. And also, meeting your friends, having coffee and doing all the normal social things you should be doing as well. But I would say you're looking at it in first year about maybe between 15 and 20 hours a week in a classroom of some description. Then the rest of your time sort of, being involved with student society, seeing your friends or whatever else you're doing. And then as the years goes on, that balance shifts a little bit, I would say. So towards the end of your degree, there's less time in the classroom, more time in the library, more time writing, doing projects. That's kind of roughly the balance. If that makes sense, what a typical student's kind of week would look like, just so you're kind of aware of what it's like to be in university, because those practical things can escape us sometimes. We're so used to it in UCC, we forget that people come from the outside world and don't live that way. So I thought, it's useful to get the question about how it works.
Beg your pardon, you can hear me now. I had the mic off there. So second question came in there, David, and I think it's for yourself. If I study Chinese and Asian studies on an arts degree, can I be a translator, interpreter, or work in a Chinese company in China?
Yeah, I mean, so Elaine, I want to jump in this. So yes, to a certain degree. I mean, there's a lot of, we would say our graduates, when you're doing a language like Chinese, you're expected to come out of the degree with serious competency in the language, right? I can't cite you the CFUR levels off the top of my head, but certainly that'll be quite common. I'll give you a personal story. My cousin did Asian studies as an arts graduate, and then lived in Shanghai for a number of years, and did I forget what master's he did exactly. I should know this. He's my cousin. And he now works in Brussels, doing sort of lobbying stuff. But certainly, yeah. And I would say if you're looking at, say, for instance, the BA International might be a very good pathway for you there, because we would send students to China a lot. For the year abroad, that can be very, very beneficial to spend time there. So certainly that would be an option. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, our colleagues in Chinese studies and Asian studies do really good work on the language and culture side. So that would be, I'm not sure if Elaine can speak to it, would be a fairly straightforward pathway, I would think, certainly, yeah.
Certainly I'll just drop in there. Yeah, so languages in Ireland is kind of big business. So we're in Ireland and we're poor in our own language, in European languages and international languages. So students who do the BA International, they do very well in the language. You'd want very good results in those. Some of them, if they want to work as a translator, they will do the Masters in Translation, because that actually teaches them how to be a translator. So they may well go on and do further study in that. But we have our language students are working in the EU. I just showed one there in the PowerPoint. They're working in Brussels. They're working in multinational companies in Ireland, or if it's an exporting company and it has a base in Europe, they're looking for students then to work in that European country with their languages. We have students with languages working in embassies in Europe as well. So absolutely, if would want a number of languages. You want 2 minimum, very high fluency, but yes, there would be a lot of opportunities for good graduates with languages.
Okay, for those of you who are posting through the chat, I would just say, just please post through the Q&A function if you can do that. Okay, so I do have another question that has come in here. What are the exams or assessments like for first year with 4 subjects?
Great question. And the untitled, and I can see the question in the chat, JP, so we might get to them in a second, just to make sure they're answered. The assessments, it does vary, and we're doing a project around this at the moment. It really depends. I would say the majority of our subjects would really emphasize continuous assessment. That would be essays, projects, presentations, things like that. But you will see, depending on the subject, formal written exams as well. I don't know the percentage off the top of my head. I think it's about 25% of them will have some level of, you're sitting in a giant exam hall, answering an essay question. We're also seeing a lot now of oral assessments come in due to kind of AI concerns, where people are actually sitting down with someone and being interviewed about their thoughts on topics. So it varies a lot. I would say as time goes on, right? After first year, you're going to see a lot of project-based work, right? We're doing research projects, you're doing long-form writing, you're doing group work. But I would say, to answer the question as simply as I can, in first year, a lot of essays, not exclusively, a lot of presentations, some exams, but it really does depend on the subject, and again, that's why I'm kind of giving a vague answer. So that's a fair question. I might just get to ones in the chat really quickly. So Arts International, how is that different? So if you go on the Arts International, we have partnerships with a large number of universities all around the world. Um, you'd go to you'd apply to where you want to go. Obviously, if you were going to a French university, we would assume you'd have done French, or whatever language is appropriate. And we would be looking at you doing whatever your subjects in your degree are. You would go to that university and do those subjects. So that you're not switching gears entirely. And so that there's a bit of work to be done there, usually with the BA International Program Director, making sure you're going to the right place. On the history and economics question, let me just check. No, I don't have the academic program catalog in front of me, but if a subject is in the same group, then you are kind of stuck in the sense you can't do them together. So that is kind of a limitation of our timetable. But actually, history and economics aren't actually, to my knowledge,
I was
in
just
the
actually
same.
going to say that, David. They're not actually in the same groups.
Yeah, so history and economics you can do together, but if the subject's in the same group, you can't. That makes sense. So I think is that clear everything up in the. I think so. One more in the chat. How do you select which module is subject you like to take in the course? So that comes in when you start in UCC, you register, you go through a kind of formal registration process, and that's where you start picking your modules and your subject at that stage. So you do that you don't do that when you're applying for the CEO, you do that when you're registering at UCC. So hopefully that clears that one up. Sorry, JP, I've lost my track on the Q&A.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. Okay, let me see. Do we have any other questions here? Let me see. We do. We have one here. I posted one, but it doesn't seem to have gone through. Just 1 second here. Bear with me. This one's for you, Elaine. Hi, Elaine. How does a final year BA honours student who really does not know what direction they want to go make an appointment with you to discuss a future pathway? So I suppose just contact details.
Very happy to meet you. So yes, you can contact the career services, and I'll organise. You can email me through the career services, and I'll organise an appointment for you, either face to face or in person. So yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now, some of the questions there, we don't have time to answer them all because we're coming to the conclusion of tonight's webinar. What questions have come in and haven't been answered and maybe have come through the chat function, I will refer them to David, and we can get back to you and answer you guys in terms of the questions that have been posted. So I suppose we are at the end of tonight's webinar for UCC's Bachelor of Arts programme. For those of you attending, I hope you found it informative in terms of learning about the contents of the degree, as well as the diverse range of career opportunities it has to offer. Thank you to everyone for attending. I especially want to thank Dr. David Fitzgerald, Elaine Brown and Nancy May Hartnett for giving up their time to present. Just to let you know that I will follow up shortly with all attendees for feedback on tonight's recorded session. Hopefully I will meet some of you next year on campus as Bachelor of Arts students. In the meantime, good evening to you all.